Hello there, Internet. My name is Timothy Jams, and welcome to part 2 of my Star Wars video. In this video, I'm going to cover the state of Star Wars in the video game sphere, the video game world. The 2000s were a banger decade for like the golden age for Star Wars games. It had just banger game after banger game that fits any gamer's needs. You like strategy games? Boom, there's a Star Wars game for it. You like shooty gun games? Boom, there's a Star Wars game for it. You like RPGs? Bow, there's a Star Wars game for it. You like lightsaber combat? Pachinko, there's a motherfucking Star Wars game for it. It really was the golden age of gaming in terms of Star Wars games. Unfortunately, this would all change when EA got the exclusive rights to the Star Wars games. See, ever since EA and Disney, Star Wars fans have had to sort of take what we can get in terms of games and movies and stuff. So in this video, I want to go over all the games that we've gotten so far, with under the tyranny of EA Games, and the future of Star Wars games, because there's been a few trailers released, and I'll pop a tangent there to talk about them a little bit. So we're gonna start with the first EA game, which was 2015 Star Wars Battlefront, and there's a lot to like about this game, but I feel like this game suffered a lot from management decisions, much like its sequel, but we'll get to that in a bit. So there was a lot to like about 2015's Battlefront. The graphics were nice at the time, and there were like the amount of players in each match, like I think there was like 40 or something. It really did feel like you were like in a battlefield, like you were going to war, like you were just some trooper dude, and I thought that was really cool. Another thing that was sick was that you could do lightsaber clashes, because like the lightsaber combat wasn't as advanced as in Battlefront 2, but it's because there were only two lightsaber heroes, being Luke and Vader. But it was cool because you could just, I think if you get both attacked at the same time, you like lightsaber locked, and that's really cool, and I wish they sort of kept that in the sequel. But see, where 2015 Battlefront fucked up was it locked. There was no campaign, there was no single player. Pretty much, it was a purely multiplayer game. And other than that, they locked the majority of maps behind a paywall. You had as like DLC packs that you had to buy. And this was quite controversial. Like a lot of people were talking about, scummy business practices and how EA shit and everything, because they're a horrible company. I don't know why anyone would sort of give them exclusive rights to anything, but hey, that's the world we live in. But other than that, 2015 Battlefront was a pretty solid game. I still play it now. I don't know if people are still playing it, but if it does, I wouldn't mind sort of get back in there. A side note, there was another thing that rubbed people the wrong way. Is that people they didn't really have a lot of cosmetic options for the stormtroopers. So then someone made the great decision to sort of take off their helmets, so to more customize it, which everyone hated. But then they eventually they flip-flopped back on this decision, and they just put the fucking helmets back on them, which was the right decision. I mean, stormtroopers should always have their helmets. It's weird to see a stormtrooper without a helmet, I think. Moving on to Battlefront 2, it was looking like a bit of a redemption arc before its release. EA was like promising all these big things. They said it was going to have a single player campaign, which is a good. All the maps aren't going to be locked behind paywalls, which is also very good. And it was going to just generally going to get more updates as time went on that were free, which is a good decision. So everything was looking great. Battlefront 2 was highly anticipated before its release, and then the game released, and pretty much what people discovered was star cards and loot boxes. Pretty much any player's ability to do well in a match was fully determined by how big or how deep their wallet was, because pretty much what's in the beginning, what you had to do is you just had to buy loot boxes to get good star cards, which good weapons, better stats, which gave you an advantage over other players who couldn't afford these things. And this started a huge this was a big fuck up on EA's part because it started a big conversation about online gambling and whether loot boxes can be classified as online gambling, and in some countries even like made loot boxes illegal. But and I think EA was one that was for the second time in its history voted like the worst company in the world, which is that's a big achievement for them, I think. But you the backlash was so tremendous that they eventually fully took out loot boxes completely, and they never put it back in. I mean, so like pretty much they by EA fucking themselves over, they actually made a better game for players because there was no way to just like pull out your wallet and immediately be doing better than everyone else. But so now everyone could just earn credits and like buy cosmetics and stuff. And there's not a lot of cosmetics in Battlefront 2. There's like, I mean, Darth Vader doesn't have any, and like other people just maybe have three at like most, which I feel like is also another thing. Like they could have just brought in cosmetics that you had to pay for, and I feel like the game would have been a much more profitable, in the long run if people could just buy cosmetics. Because like, if, for example, the Avengers game isn't a very popular game. It wasn't very well received, but that game still makes money because of its cosmetics. So they could have maybe done something there. But I mean, so Battlefront 2 is still alive, and it is a big improvement on Battlefront 1, because more heroes. Whereas Battlefront 1 only had Vader and Luke, Battlefront 2 has Vader, Luke, Maul, Dooku, Grievous, Kylo. They've got like a lot more lightsaber heroes, which is always a good thing. And also the lightsaber combat was. It's a very deep system of like parrying and counter attacking, and like using your camera in like ways to sort of to use exploits for certain characters. It's a very high skill level lightsaber dueling in Battlefront 2. But I love Battlefront 2. I think it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's really, like the graphics are nice. It is a fun game. It's just such a shame that they cancelled like updates. They stopped supporting it long term because I feel like it could have gone much further. So all in all, pretty much Battlefront 2 was it's such a great game. But it was pretty much just written like it just had such a rough launch. It couldn't really recover, and EA obviously didn't have enough faith in it to like continue or sort of to really support it. But I would say like if you wanna like it's a very fun game to play. I would recommend it to people, especially on PC, just because of mods. The mods are very cool for this game. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Battlefront 2. Moving on. The next game I thought I'd talk about would be the only fully single player Star Wars game that we've gotten so far, which is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And this game, literally, I feel like was I'm surprised this was an EA game because it's a decent single player RPG. It's which is not EA's normal type of game. They don't like single player. They like multiplayer games because they make money, which makes sense. But I was surprised that this was a decent game, and I think it was like the most well received of all their Star Wars games. The lightsaber combo was great. It feels really cool to sort of use force powers and like fuck up stormtroopers and stuff. The only sort of big criticism I had, I felt like there wasn't enough lightsaber fights, and most of the evil characters were female. I think there's only one male I would have liked a bit more diversity in that sense, because female villains and male villains have like different sort of vibes to them, if that makes sense. So and like just generally, I would have liked way more people to sort of fight in lightsaber combat. Another big issue I had was there's like virtually no customization at all unless you're on PC and using mods, and even then it's limited. Because pretty much Cal, like the main character Cal Kestis, only had one costume and it was like him without a poncho and him with a poncho, but you can choose the like different colors for his poncho. Um, but other than that, the story was good, relatively. I mean, it wasn't like the greatest single player experience I've ever had, but for Star Wars games, and considering how dry it's been, it was very, very welcome. I really sort of the best Star Wars game in a while, but that might change in the next year, which we'll get to. The third game, unless I think it's like the final EA game that was made, is Star Wars Squadrons, which this is a very niche game, I feel, because this is essentially like realistic starfighter piloting, which is fun for a little bit, but it's very complicated. It's kind of hard to fly. So this is really for a specific niche community of players, which isn't me. I played the game; it was alright, but I mean, I enjoyed a little bit of it, but it's not a game that I played very long and put a lot of hours into. Because whereas Battlefront also has starfighters, I mean, it's definitely better because it's solely focused on starfighter, on like piloting. But I'm not a big airplane guy. I'm not a huge fan of it. But so it's not really. I'm not the target audience for that, so I can't really say how good it was. But I will say this though. I will say that maybe like that game shouldn't have been made before, because I feel like there was like a lot better stuff they could have done in terms of like directing resources towards making certain games. Like I don't know, there's like Republic Commando is like a game that I would really sort of like to see remade, not even remastered, just fully remake, or like even a sequel to the first one, but which we haven't gotten yet. Fingers crossed. But that's pretty much it. But now onto the future of Star Wars games. And I want to say the future's bright, but I can't. Not yet. If you heard that, there's like a mirror across from, because I'm at this table. It's quite a big table. It's a mirror like leaning, and it just kind of slipped and fell. I thought it was gonna break. So that's what that was. But yeah, like I was saying, it's I feel like so we've gotten an announcement. We haven't seen gameplay or any like big sort of reveal of what the game is going to be like. But we've seen an announcement trailer for a remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which I want to be very excited for. But I'm really worried that they fuck it up and like it's badly written and it's like just chucked full of like real world politics or shit like that. Because I've heard like one of the writers on it is a very I don't wanna say anything crazy, but I mean they're very like political. And what's the word? Progressive, if you catch my drift. Which is a big red flag, and it's because I'm saying that this is like the original Knights of the Old Republic has got such a huge spot in my heart. It's such a it really was sort of like a very important game in my childhood. That I really just want them to. I just want to see this game be done justice to, and not just ruined by some some sort of hack writer who doesn't really like understand like what this game's supposed to be. But other than that, like it's just been announced that we're also getting another Star Wars game set in the High Republic era, which I'm not very familiar with. It's my understanding this is a relatively new. There's like books or something written about it. But yeah, this is a game set in the High Republic era, and from what the trailer, it looked kind of cool. But I need to see gameplay, just like for Knights of the Old Republic. I need to see gameplay. I need to know what I'm getting before I can really start sort of being hyped for something. So I want to say, in terms of the state of Star Wars, in terms of video games, I want to say it's been rocky. In like modern times, but it might be looking up if these two games look good and they do well, and like, especially now to the Old Republic, that'll be the big one, even bigger than Star Wars Eclipse, which is the other one they announced. I think Knights of the Old Republic is the one most people would be excited for, and most people are like eager to play and to see if it's good. So if that one really like hits its mark, then I'll safely say like Star Wars is in a good place in terms of video games, because it's sad to have like been that we've only gotten like such slim pickings in terms of Star Wars games. Because Star Wars is such a cool IP that that can really like do a lot in terms of video games. It's such like the universe is one that's like very easy to sort of get lost into if there's like a story to sort of it's really got a lot of potential to sort of in like the gaming medium, So yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything more to say. But yeah, that's I want to call it now. I've been Jimothy Jams. Thanks for watching and fuck off.